Hello, my dear students. Today we are exploring A Work of Artifice by Marge Piercy. I've made an introductory video of the same. Please do watch it. Okay, so this powerful poem, it delves into societal constraint on women. And when I talk about societal constraint, we are mostly talking about the patriarchal society. Patriarchal society is where the society is ruled by or run by men. So on top is men. So this poem it delves into the societal constraint on women using the metaphor of a bonsai tree. I will first read this poem followed by explanation. So let us start. The bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. But a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high. Every day, as he whittles back the branches, the gardener croons. It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. How lucky, little tree, to have a pot to grow in. With living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in curlers, the hands we love to touch. Okay, let us start with the title itself. So here you can see there are two words, work and artifice. Now what is work? Work suggests the efforts, intentions and creation that one puts in. It implies that the subject of the poem is the result of deliberate action. So the subject in this poem is bonsai tree. Fine. So the subject in this poem is the result of any deliberate action. The action here is artifice. I will write here. So work, it is the effort to make something, to create something. That is work. Artifice, on the other hand, is the clever trick. So we can say trickery. So when you manipulate, so you create something, this is the connotation of artificiality. It is connotation of deception, of clever tricks. So there is this work, an effort has been made to create something through trickery. So, work of artifice, this is what the poem says, the title of the poem. So, a work which is not created on its own, it's not a natural process of creating something. Rather, it is a process, this has been created through deception, through trickery. Okay, let us understand what is the work and who is the person doing the trick. Now, what is the work here? The work here is bonsai tree. Now, what is a bonsai tree? अब काम बोल रहे हैं तो काम क्या किया है? Because tree is a natural thing. I cannot say a work has been put in. But bonsai tree is this. It's a small miniature tree. So this is basically a Japanese way. This is Japanese art, I would rather say. It's the art of growing and shaping this miniature tree. Now, if you see, this tree is inside a pot. Tree is never inside a pot. Tree is in open areas, whereas a plant can be seen inside a pot. So this is what a tree looks like. It's an open space. But because it's a bonsai tree, it has to be, the branches have to be whittled down. You have to cut down the branches. You have to take it out, cut down the roots as well, so as to make it small and keep it confined to the pot. Now coming back to this. So the work is bonsai tree, making of bonsai tree. Artifice. Who's doing the trick with it? Gardener is doing it. Fine. Gardener is doing the trick. Now, how is he doing it? He is doing it by pruning. The word has been used here. By pruning it. Fine. So he's making, that is the gardener, he's making bonsai tree by pruning it and by keeping it inside a pot. So these are four things that you can see. And the first stanza itself, the poet, he introduced bonsai tree, but this bonsai tree is a metaphor. Because when you read it in the beginning, you will realize, okay, it's talking about a bonsai tree. Okay, it is inside a pot. It could have grown this tall, but it did not, and so on and so forth. But poem becomes little confusing at the end when it says, one must begin early. Okay, this is also fine. If you're making a bonsai tree, you have to begin it a little early to dwarf its growth. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair and curlers, the hand you love to touch. अब ये कहाँ से आया? We are talking about a tree. But where did this come from? Now, this is why I told you in the beginning that this is a very powerful poem which is talking about the societal constraint of a woman. So this is about women, curlers, hands you like to touch, crippled brain. Fine. So see here. I am telling you the extended metaphor in this poem. We have extended metaphor. Metaphor is when you compare without using as or like. So this poem is an extended metaphor of women here. So we have bonsai tree. Bonsai tree refers to women in the society. When we talk about gardener, gardener is external forces. Or we can also say that this is the society in general. Pruning. What is pruning here? Pruning is when you cut down something, when you uh, cut off to make something smaller, that is pruning. So pruning is societal limitations. Please write it because I will later erase all this. And last is the pot that we are talking about. Pot is societal expectations and roles. Societal expectations and roles. Now, pruning and pot may look little similar to you right now, but once you understand the poem, you understand the difference as well between the two. Expectations and roles that basically confine women. I will write this as well because pot, the use of pot is to confine something, otherwise, you'll get confused. Confine women. This is W. Okay. Let's start. The bonsai tree in the attractive pot. Where is the bonsai tree? It is inside an attractive pot. So where is woman? We're talking about the woman who is expected to perform certain roles. Now these roles are making her attractive. Oh, you're such a wonderful mother. You stay inside the house, you clean the house, you wash dishes, you take care of the children, you take care of your husband, you cook such good food. So that is what defines a good woman, a good wife, a good mother, right? So these are the norms which are being created. These are the roles that she has to play, which makes her look more attractive. Fine. So these roles which confine the women are being called attractive. So women are kept inside the pot. She could have grown. Let's first see the literal meaning and then we'll go to metaphorical meaning. Could have grown. What could have grown? Bonsai tree. Bonsai tree could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain. It could have easily grown up to the height of 80 feet. Had it grown on the side of the mountain, had it grown on the side of a mountain in an open space, it could have grown to 80 feet tall. Till split by lightning. So it says, unless and until any external force would have cut it into pieces or made it short, destructed it, otherwise it would have grown. Had that not happened, it would have grown to 80 feet tall. Suddenly, if there was no mishap like lightning, it could have actually grown to 80 feet tall. But, okay, this was literal meaning. Let's go to metaphorical meaning. So, metaphorical meaning means a woman who is now confined by these societal expectations and role could have actually done very well in her life had she been left free. Had she been left free to grow naturally, she would have done anything majestic in her life till split by the lightning, that is, unless and until any external force like the societal pressures and expectations would not have destructed her natural growth. I hope that is clear. So the tree is allowed to grow naturally. If it was allowed to grow naturally, like a woman was allowed to grow naturally, it could have grown into something majestic, something tall. Fine? Could have grown to something majestic and tall, towering. Similarly, if not constrained by societal expectation, a woman could achieve great heights unless and until a destructive impact would have happened, impacted her natural growth. So this is till here, lightning. But a gardener, I told you who the gardener is, the society, men in this society who do not want women to progress in their life. So, but a gardener, that is the societal influence or influences or individuals who impose control over a woman carefully pruned it. I told you prune means societal limitation. Unless and until the society had not put any limitation on it. But society has put limitations on it. That is the bonsai tree or woman that we are talking about. Right? The societal influences or individuals who impose control over the woman are being referred to here. Just as the gardener, he prunes the tree. He prunes, I told you meaning of prune before as well. Prune means to cut off to make something smaller. To cut something to make it smaller, that is pruning. So, just as the gardener, he prunes the tree. Society often dictates women's role, behavior, and appearance through its limitation and conditions that it puts. So, pruning is nothing but all these limitations and conditions that the society puts on a woman. That is, you should not wear this, you should not walk like this, you should not keep your hair open, you should not um, go out after a certain time, or you should behave in a certain way in front of people, or you shouldn't laugh too loud. There are certain limitations which are being, in fact, I would not say certain, there are so many limitations that are being put on a woman. Those are, that is being referred to as pruning here. Okay, let's move ahead. It is What is the height of it now? It is 9 inches high. What was the expected height? 80 feet tall. So it was expected to grow 80 feet tall, but now it is because of pruning and whittling down the branches, it has just grown to 9 inches. That is the height of it now. Small, it is small in size. It is 9 inches high. Every day as he whittles, who is he? He is the gardener. He is the society. Sorry, gardener. Fine. So when this gardener, he whittles down the branches, whittle means again reduce something in size. Like prune, prune is to cut off something to make it small. Similarly, whittles is also reduce something in size. So every day while he's whittling down the branches, while he's cutting down the branches to make it small, every day when he's doing it, what is he doing along with it? He is singing. Croons. Croons means to sing in a soft, low voice. So he sings while cutting down the branches. And what does he sing? He sings, "It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in." So this is what it sings. So he continues the control. He continues to control. So he just does not prune. He is also singing along. He's singing, he's conditioning it constantly. This is societal conditioning. This crooning is societal conditioning where women are often told that it is their nature. It is their nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. Fine? So women are often told this. Now, if you see, this is to enforce narrow definition of femininity. That this is you will look feminine if you wear so and so, if you look so and so. So these are the terms of, um in terms of societal power, this is how a woman is influenced. Now, can you see the irony here? Irony lies here. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. This is irony. It's a figure of speech. I will discuss figure of speech with you later, but this one is important here because he says he's giving a false comfort. False comfort is being offered here by the gardener that how lucky you are. Is the tree really lucky? Is a woman really lucky? No, she's not. No, the tree is not. It is meant to grow in its own way. It has the right to have its freedom to enjoy the natural growth of it. But no, it doesn't want to stay inside those restrictions that are being led by the society. So, no, it is not lucky. The irony here is the gardener who is whittling down the branches, the society which is giving all these norms to the woman, is trying to control, is the one telling woman that you are free, you are lucky, you are enjoying. What is she enjoying? Is she enjoying these restrictions? Nobody enjoys restrictions, isn't it? So, this is what it sings. With living creatures. And, okay, let's move ahead. With living creatures, with anything which is living, with living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth, to restrict their growth. One must start a little early. So, women's growth and potential are stunted from a very early age. Their growth is stunted. It is restricted from a very early age. This is what it talks about. That it is very important that you start to feed a woman. You start telling her from a very early age how she's supposed to behave. And this is what happens. When you're a child, from that very age, you are told, okay, you're a girl. You're supposed to sit like this. You are a girl. You're supposed to laugh like this. Isn't it? So, all these restrictions, all these norms, rules, conditioning is done from the very early age for both bonsai tree as well as a woman. Woman is basically what we're talking about here. The bound feet. I'm not very sure whether you've heard of it, but bound feet is allusion. Allusion is a figure of speech, children. Like irony is a figure of speech, allusion is also a figure of speech in which an indirect reference to an event or another piece of literature is being made. So here, the bound feet is it is a historical Chinese practice in which women, the feet of the women, but they were tied. They were tied because it was there was a practice of foot binding. So it used to symbolize the physical and psychological constraint that placed on women. By tying their feet, what they used to do was to make sure that their feet were small. They did not grow much. So the smaller the feet, more beautiful the woman. So this was the Chinese practice. And to make a woman look beautiful, this foot binding technique was used. So it's of course a physical and psychological constraint that was placed on women. Psychologically, they were told that yes, you are beautiful if your feet is small. And of course, physical because it can be seen. So this is allusion here, a figure of speech in which an indirect reference is made from another event or a piece of literature from before, another piece of literature. The crippled brain. This is how a woman is defined. A bound feet, small feet they should have. Crippled brain is limitation on their education. बहुत पढ़ लिया अब शादी कर लो. This is what they are told. You've studied enough, now it is time to. Or if you go to village, women are not even allowed to study. ये पढ़ के क्या करेगी इसने तो शादी करनी है. Why to teach her at all? Why to educate her at all? And eventually she's going to get married. So the crippled brain, that is the limitation of women's education and their intellectual development. Every time a woman is questioned when it comes to science and maths, or she will not be able to do it, isn't it? Oh, look at her. This woman is driving a car. Please maintain distance. So her intelligence and her education is always questioned. So this limitation has been put on her. The hair in curlers, that is, the beauty standards are set for her. Curly hair. Beauty standards are being set for her, like curly hair or straight hair, fair, slim. So these are all beauty standards. I hope this part is clear. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in curlers. This is how a woman should be like. ज़्यादा पढ़ी लिखी लड़की हमको नहीं चाहिए. Clearly, we want a housewife. We want somebody who can stay at home. We do not want too educated a woman. So these are the standards that are being set for her. The hands you love to touch. It implies the reduction of woman to mere object. She's nothing but an object of affection and of beauty. She can be like affection and beauty. Rather than recognizing her capabilities, her intelligence, what is one emphasizing on? One is emphasizing on seeing her as nothing but an object. Her feet should be small, she shouldn't be too educated, she should have curly hairs, and she's just something whose hand you would like to touch. So, this is all that we have in this poem. Let's just have a quick recap of the entire poem and understand what it was about. So, this poem, let me quickly erase all of it. Okay. So, this poem from the beginning, if you see, it is the work of artifice. I told you, work of artifice is the work, something has effort or intention has been put in to create something, but it is done through trickery. That is a work of artifice. Here we are talking about a bonsai tree which is growing in an attractive pot. The bonsai tree is growing inside a attractive pot. It was supposed to grow to 80 feet, but then there is this gardener. What it does, it prunes. It pruned it and made it as small as 9 inches high. Now, what it does is every day it whittles down its branches, and while it whittles down its branches, whittles back its branches, it croons, it sings. Sorry. It croons, it sings. What does it sing? This is R. Write it again. What does it sing? It sings that it is your nature. It constantly tells the tree, the bonsai tree, that it is your nature. It is your nature to be what? It is your nature to be small. It is your nature to be cozy. It is your nature to be domestic. It is your nature to be weak. Fine? Then it also tells the tree that you're very lucky. You're lucky that you have a pot to grow inside. So the gardener's comforting words that you are lucky. These are his comforting words. So these comforting words, they reflect the way patriarchal society often manipulates women into accepting their limited role, that these are your roles, but these are beautiful roles for you, as something natural and desirable, even if she doesn't want these roles to be performed. Maybe a woman doesn't want to be thin, maybe a woman doesn't want a small feet, but still she has to go through it because she has been manipulated to do so. A trickery. This is what we were talking about, isn't it? She has been manipulated in such a way to believe that this is how her life should be. She's told that she's lucky, okay, small, cozy, domestic, weak, and she's lucky to grow in a plant. Later, the poet says that it is very important with any living creature. With any living creature, it is important that you start at a very early age. If you want to dwarf it, you want to make it small, you need to start at a young and early age. That is, you have to start manipulating women at a very early age. You need to start cutting it down, pruning it at a very young age. What are the traits a woman should have? She should have a bound feet, crippled brain, hair, curly hair, or we can say, yes, curly hair, and beautiful hands. In general, she should be Beautiful, not just our hands. Fine. So this is all that we have in this poem, talking about the figure of speeches that I was talking about. One, I said in the very beginning, if you did hear me, that this poem has, write it for you, metaphor. So there's this extended metaphor which is being used. The entire poem is built around it. That is comparing the bonsai tree to women. From the beginning, wherever it is writing it, basically means women in general. So the metaphor, it illustrates how women's potential is stunted by societal expectations and constraint, just as the bonsai tree is kept in small pot by the gardener, which he is constantly pruning. So this is metaphor, extended metaphor you can say in the entire poem. Next figure of speech is, just write it here, first is metaphor. Second figure of speech used in this poem is symbolism. A symbolism which is used here, that is, they represent something else. What is mentioned in this poem represents something else. For instance, the first symbolism here is bonsai tree. Bonsai tree represent women and their potential. Women and their potential. Second figure of speech is, sorry, symbolism is your gardener. So gardener here is number two, and gardener represent the patriarchal society. If you remember in the beginning, I told you what a patriarchal society is, which is dominated by men. So, patriarchal society where men are given higher position. Okay, so it represents a patriarchal society that imposes limitations on women. Third is attractive pot. I'm going by the sequence of their importance as well. So third is attractive pot. Attractive is important. This symbolizes confining role of women. Confining roles of women and their expectation, confining their roles and expectations based on women. Next symbolism is pruning, pruned it. So pruning is societal and cultural restrictions. Societal restrictions. I hope by now it is you are able to differentiate between the two, that is the restrictions and the rules. It is through the restrictions that you have certain rules which are being given to you, or these rules they they put on these restrictions on you. Through these rules, society puts restrictions on your growth, women's growth. So these are all the symbolisms that we have in the poem. There are four of them. Okay. Irony, we have already done. Irony is here. It is your nature. Yes, how lucky little tree, right? How lucky you are. So there is a strong sense of irony you can see in the gardener's statement, especially when he says cozy, small, cozy, domestic, weak, how lucky little tree you are to grow in a pot. So irony lies in the false comfort that has been offered to the plant by the gardener, who claims that the tree is lucky to be confined when in reality it is being denied its natural potential. Okay, moving ahead, we have imagery in the poem. Imagery is that when you start to imagine by reading something, visual imagery, could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain. You could have grown this tall. So this is image 2. The third we did was irony, irony. Fourth, imagery. And fifth, which you have done is allusion. This one is allusion. Bound feet. Right? So the mention of bound feet alludes to the historical practice of foot binding in China, connecting poem's theme to the real world. Examples of the way women's uh, body and life were restricted. So these are pretty much all. This is allusion. So this is pretty much all in this poem. I have covered everything. Yes, themes are still left. Themes I will do later with you. But please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Show love to it. And I will definitely put on more videos for you. Thank you for watching it. God bless you. Thank you.